So when a dispute arises in an SR&E audit, I'll give you the example of a technical dispute. So what might happen is you'll be having a discussion with the research and technology advisor and come to an impasse on an issue. From there, the dispute resolution guidance that CRA has published suggests that you escalate that to a research and technology manager for further discussion on that particular issue. So with the research and technology manager, you have the opportunity to raise the issue and then allow the research and technology manager to try to resolve the issue. What we're noticing in practice, though, is that the research and technology manager seems to be reluctant to overturn that initial assessment by the research and technology advisor. Don't really know the reasons. There could be many reasons for that, but that's essentially what's happening in the field. So at this point, all you have is the first opinion. So now beyond that, so after you take the issue to the research and technology manager, and let's just assume it hasn't been resolved. Sometimes it may be, but sometimes it may not be. Then what you would do is it would be escalated to the assistant director. And the assistant director, you are raising the issue with them, but the ask is a little bit different because often the assistant director does not have a technical background. The ask that you can ask them for is very limited. And what you would typically ask for is for an independent second review. When you're escalating it to the assistant director, you're asking for an independent second review because you would hope that having a second set of eyes from another scientist would resolve the issue. However, what the assistant director is looking at these days is whether it's appropriate for an administrative second review. And what they'll do is they'll have someone look at the file for administrative issues, which in my experience and other practitioners I've spoken with is not really the issue. Often CRA is very good at following administrative policies, giving the taxpayer their due course. But that review does not challenge the RTA's initial scientific assessment. So what's missing there is truly a secondary review of the science. Now, there have been a few occasions where a second review of the science has been granted, and I've experienced with some of those, and they've been resolved generally favorably. So it goes to show that if there was consistently a secondary science review that's available to taxpayers, it might resolve some of the backlog that's happening in the appeals division. I understand right now that one of the last steps in a dispute resolution that CRA has is the notice of objection process. And there are science officers in that program or in that process. There's been such a backlog on that, I can't say with confidence whether the science issues will get resolved through that process. But regardless, it takes a lot of time to get to that process, and there's a lot of backlog, often up to 2 years, if not more. So the benefit of having an independent second science review early in the process, it would just it would narrow the amount of time it takes to resolve a claim. It would escalate the issue at a science level earlier, and hopefully resolve some of these disputes.